Oh,
Oh, I knew
Oh
it.
no, there he
I knew
is.
it. He just loves the hero, man. Io Gyro back on the menu. But against Nyx, it feels like it was even preemptively picked against us. Nyx is pretty good against Gyro, too.
Although Gyro feels kind of good versus Timber, which might be
right?
maybe this was like a bait from Rune Eaters, right? They're like, we'll
Oh,
pick the Timber. That'll force the Gyro out of Navi.
Let's counter ourselves so that we can counter them.
genius.
This
And then the
is
Mirana.
this is way too much for me. Yeah, okay, so you do have that Carapace as well versus Gyro, right? It's not that bad. Mana Burn versus Skyrat versus Void Spirit
Yep.
does a ton. But these two drafts have things lacking for me. Like Timber for me does not feel like the most perfect hero for Rune Eaters. At the same time, Navi, very little amount of control, right? Like almost none of it. Almost no initiation, proper one at least. How do you catch the puck? How do you kill him? I guess you do have Skyrat, Silence, and Void Spirit, but
A scrappy game. That's what I'm
yeah.
seeing.
Yep.
I
But in the
don't even know what TA 2000 picks blind here. Because he doesn't know his lane matchup, right?
true,
hmm I guess
he
you
just
just
knows
pick
it's
something
Skyrim.
versus Gyro, right? Like if you're Rune Eaters.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts here, Lizard? What options against Gyro?
Well, back in the day, back in my day, Morphling was good. It ain't anymore. I believe it's not as great. What about some TA 2000 lifesteal band? Never mind.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
gone.
yeah. How about some default jug? Let's go back to default.
Uh, I don't know about the Jug pick. Is that great here? You have two mobile or fast supports, so you can't really kill him as quickly with Blade Fury.
There's
I guess
no.
Skyrath.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know. I'd like some control outside of the puck, but
Some
it's hard to
sniper.
get that out of your position one, you know?
Mm-hmm. It's just Sven, which is also a classic of him, but I don't know about the Sven pick. Kind of dead right now.
Yeah. He's looking rough without a nice buddy to enable.
Yeah, exactly.
One hero that I see banned in almost every single game in position 1 so far that we casted is Sniper. Like, he's been picked once or twice, and then every single team is banning him. Is he really that Oh, Centaur banned out. That might be even telling me that they might go for one of these long
Yeah.
range
They might go
ones,
Drow
right?
if
Yeah,
they ban
Draw,
Sniper.
Sniper, yeah.
That's not
Let's
So
bad.
there's
Drow or Sniper do look pretty good here. If that happened, what would be the position 3 hero that Navi could get to like try and counteract this? It has to be some sort of an initiator.
just a good old Sand King with Skyrat, maybe something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I like the Sand King. That's a very strong lane as well. Level 3 onwards.
Yep. What else is
Navi
there?
does.
They're still banning though, right? So we still have
Yeah.
to see that one go out.
They don't know what to ban because it's kind of an odd one here. It's not a perfect carry as you guys described. They get rid of the sniper. Okay, so
Again,
will be the Drow.
Yeah.
right now, I'm just very curious. I want to see the sniper more. I've seen some games. I haven't seen him do exceptionally well. I just want to see the hero played.
Yeah. He seems very
Ah.
good in the EU sink or swim meta of like you kind of carry the early and then just snowball off that.
I think it's Drow. The Drow?
TB, yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
the classic. All right, I'm a believer.
Okay.
It's his hero.
It is his hero.
It does make sense, right? Like, out of all of his heroes, TB is probably the most known naive hero. So
Yeah.
What's the
Underlord
offlane?
though?
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
it's not as good in terms of like second for Sky, but it is a pretty solid versus TB with the aura.
yep, you'd get
0 stuns though there.
0 stuns. You'd get that.
Got a root, you know?
Yeah.
BKB counters your whole draft. There's like no way to stop it.
Just TP out of everything. That's it.
Sand King's solid too. I'm still down with the Sand King.
Oh.
I think
Yeah.
that's pretty good.
Dragon Knight, okay.
Okay. Same idea.
Yeah.
And Lice will be taking it, yeah. So not gonna be any sort of like a 3 Void Spirit or something. In case you were wondering. It is indeed just no one gonna be playing it.
Mm-hmm. Well, this final pick, they have 1 stun, Lizard. They also have a blink stun on DK eventually.
Mm-hmm.
Is that enough to sell you for this Navi draft?
I'm not sure. Both of these drafts are very similar to me, but not in a good way. Like, I don't know. I'm seeing some holes here and there, but yeah, I think we're going to game three as we called it, right?
Yes, just like we said.
Exactly.
I actually like Rune Eater's draft better. I'm full on Rune
Trent,
Eaters.
you can't do this bandwagon stuff. You know, you got to go for Navi full on.
No, their heroes
It's
are good.
recorded.
They have puck.
All right. All right. Trent was talking really well about the puck. After his Marauder rant came the puck rant. And after this game, we might see a Navi rant if Runator's manage to take it. Or perhaps we do see a game 3. I am very excited to see what happens as we go over to the best casting pair, Mike and John. Take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Mr. Avo Plus. Jonathan, why don't you talk to me like Avo does? Why have you never told me we're the best casting pair or I'm beautiful and I mean, Avo tells me all these things all the time, John. What about you? How are you going to
Yeah,
sweeten the deal for me?
I tell you to look good every now and again. You know, I
No,
throw you
you
a bone.
don't,
I can't have you comfy all the time. I need to have you kept down. I need to go with the vibe of the world, Mike. And the world says the life is tough for Mike LaPhoenix. Add a little bit more to that than I do, Mikey. But it's always a pleasure casting you. And this game is going to be an interesting one as well, Mike. You heard the panel kind of bantering, you know, figuring out if the Navi bias is still in. It's really awkward, this draft of Navi, as Lizard mentioned, you know, lack of stuns. You have the stun on the DK, but now you pick DK into Timbersaw. Right? Like that was such an early phase Timbersaw up there that kind of baited him in, and now they're forced to go DK versus Timb. You do have good magic damage early on, but once you have a couple of BKBs here, Rune Eaters feels really good. I think for Navi, they've got to play this quick. You need to play with a threat of relocate, use that every single time, especially before these BKBs come out. Have vision as to where TA2000 is farming, ambush him, and keep him down. If you can kind of get that done, you have your recipe for success. It's almost like that AM game in game 1, right? They put pressure on TA2000 a couple times, and then he just AFK jungles. And he was uncontested. He farmed up way bigger. Same thing can happen in that Terrorblade here if Navi loses the pace.
There's a lot riding on this series as well, John. I mean, we didn't really talk about during game 1, but one team's fighting to not get relegated out of Div 1, and the other's trying to get to a major right now, Jonathan. So a lot on the line here for this game number 2 for both teams. There's Navi, they are going to run right into TA2000, but going to be just fine. Meanwhile, Arrow going for a bit of a fight as well, and so is No One and Kaori. Arrow, though, copying a fair bit of damage here on the Snyx Assassin, going to try and go for a bit of a run, and to be fair, he does have our boots up, so might need to deny himself, might need to just TP out. Bit of a rough start here for Arrow, but he's not going to die at the least and give first blood away. So happy days at the least for Rune Eaters.
You know, gets to live and just use those boots to really good work already. At least forcing out some early spell use. Not the biggest man loss in the world for Vincere. And taking a look at that top lane, of course. Vincere again camping around with Sweden Strong up against Funnick on his signature Timbersaw and Arrow on the Nyx. This lane does feel pretty manageable for Navi early on, like pre-level 3, pre-level 4 for Funnick. You probably won't be able to gap close onto Vincere. It's double range versus double melee. So Arrow is just going to have to pull the creep wave, get some levels up, and he is getting that done. But it's going to be a little bit more passive for Rune Eaters and going to feel a lot safer for Vincere here. You should be able to find that farm, find that build up. As long as Sweden Strong isn't in a position where Funnick can threaten with a chain and have the follow-up with the Impale, then you should be fine here for an Navi farm.
Hayes dropping very low there to No One. No One getting very aggressive on the Void Spirit, and well, Hayes has to watch his step. No One very, very aggressive this time around, and of course last game around, John, he had a great lane in there on the mid Zeus, but well, this time on the Void Spirit, you'd argue that Hayes should have somewhat of an advantage here on the puck. So No One, not going to have it that way. He'll try and be as aggressive as possible while he can.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things with a Puck Void matchup. It can go either way. It really depends on how well you land your spells. Like every time No One gets that Remnant off, he gets a couple of right clicks, and Hayes can't really keep up with that. He's protected by the Resonant Pulse here, and No One, and Rune Control is going to be paramount for Hayes. Again, falling a bit behind in the lane. Good advantage for No One to play with already. If he hits level 6 a bit faster, that's where things get scared. But you consider the support rotations that can come in. Feels a lot smoother for Rune Eaters to maybe look for a play onto No One down the line.
Hayes is really trying to punish No One right now. No One, though, going to turn right back around and punish him back. Let's get the water in away. You saw Hayes trying to swipe that away with the jaunt back on the orb, but wasn't able to quite pick it up. Still no first blood being drawn quite yet. Gets that top lane going. Well, Sweden strong. Trying to be a little bit annoying here towards Funnick and Arrow, but he is still an IO at the end of the day. Not too much the IO can do here, apart from maybe soak a bit of XP, but Arrow gonna try and force him away here on the IO. Funnick will just completely ignore him. Doesn't even want to bother.
Yep, just get that solo XP going. You're fairly satisfied for Navi again up top. You are just farming in the jar. Down bot though, a little bit of aggression.
Yeah, the Starbreaker's gonna land. Lace, he's in big trouble. TA2000 able to secure first blood this time around on the TB and immediate tips out. I don't know what Lace has done wrong here, John, but he's really been copping it this series.
Yeah, he's been tipped a couple of times, and this lane for the DKs, jeez, this lane is just not. It's not that great, right? Maybe when you hit level 6, this is where it can shine. Dragon Tail into Mystic Flare, once solo has that up, can be a big threat. The magic damage is nice, and as you get some levels up in solo, you can maybe whittle down at TB. But TA2000's kind of ready. He has the magic stick. He's gonna go for the full wand as well. Gonna have more burst healing on hand, even gets another set of tangos out, knowing that the lane's gonna be harass heavy. And you have to respect that combination coming out from Terrorblade. But the damage output, even the Dawnbreaker at level 2, level 3 is pretty damn high. Just get a slow off with a reflection. Kauri can line up, jump in with the Starbreaker, and even the DK kind of feels squishy before level 2, level 3 Dragonflight. And solo, especially if he's way too far forward, is going to be an easy target to punish. So I think Rune Eaters has a much stronger lane down bot. It's going to be a lot more passive for Navi, just because, well, Sky is a great support to have, but is just completely countered by Styx.
That's a very nice remnant there from No One. Puts the hand up as well, knows exactly what he's done to Arrow, and poor old Arrow just trying to go in for a cheeky stun down onto the Void Spirit, but very quick reactions from No One, and eventually he does get his high five by his own tower. Very nice.
It's another strong start for No One. Again, building up in the Void Spirit. It's going to be important for him to take momentum in this game, Mike.
Oh, top lane. Funnick, he's alright. He'll TP out. The Rocket Barrage, quite a lot of damage and very effective against the Timber, but Funnick, just quick thinking to TP out of there, and well, they couldn't really stop him in time.
Yeah, it's the one thing that, again, the panel pointed out. If you're under any pressure, once homing missile's gone, or even while it's channeling, just TP out. Nothing can really stop you. And that's going to be a consistent issue for Navi until they start linking up together. Still, overall, Rune Eaters, they're finding a decent enough start. Navi is definitely having a better time in the laning phase outside of that TB lane down bot. Beyond that, your Gyrocopters flash farming really well. Going to have a good time in jungle stacks if they manage to build that up. And once they hit those level spikes we talked about, Mike, level 6 is on some course will feel big. No One has to be a bit cautious, but should be safe. He's still having that great farm down mid.
He was one right click away there, John. No One just barely surviving thanks to the magic wand charges, and well, finally the aggression from the puck somewhat paying off as Hayes now going to have a bit of a freer mid lane for himself. So No One, he's been having a real good game himself on the Void Spirit though, 28 and 6 so far, and I don't think I've seen the man miss a remnant yet, to be frank with you, John. This man's hit every remnant he's thrown out.
It's buying some space out for Hazo, forcing that walk home, so he should be able to find his leveled sword 6 at about the same time as No One. They can threaten the Dream Coil team fight. Rune Eaters again. Oh.
Cheeky body block attempts there from TA2000, Jonathan. He was using the illusion to try and block Lace back from that tier 1 tower, but eventually doesn't really work out. In fact, now they're going to try and turn TA2000. He does have some raindrops and some stick charges. In fact, Lace now, he's the one in trouble. He needs to back his way out of there. Luckily, Kauri not in range to be able to go for the Starbreaker. Lace just goes for a very quick Dragon Tail onto the Dawnbreaker. Make sure she cannot break the distance. So both teams do get out scot-free in that scenario.
You are starting to apply that pressure onto the TB though, TA2000. Farm, it just isn't as high as the Gyro, which is to be expected. Vincere is already starting on the jungle, pulling the creep wave along as Funnick's trying to just get some solo EXP. But the Gyro is starting to build up to that point where the flash farm is just going to be pretty scary. Does max out the Rocket Barrage though, so maybe looking for a little bit more aggression, playing with that magic damage before Funnick has any parts of his Hood of Defiance up. He is doing a good job of just keeping that lane playable. Funnick is pretty down there, even below Lace's lane in terms of CS. So you've managed to slow down that Timbersaw in lane, and you've managed to secure that early start for your Jar. The build-up is going to come out, and we've just got to see what decisions Navi makes by the time they get their own level 6s up. Again, you have a lot of combinations, you've got a lot of global presence with that IO, and a lot of damage with Vincere maxing out the Rocket Barrage, so you could definitely look for that early aggression here.
Certainly so. Vincere currently top of the CS board and top of the net worth board as well. A very, very good game for the Gyrocopter. And of course, this Gyro-IO combination just never seems to get old. Every year you'll see it sometimes, and Vincere obviously believing it with Sweet and Strong, as you will see the IO just stacking up the jungle already. Getting ready for Vincere to clear all those creeps out. I wonder though, like, what do you think about Gyrocopter in this meta, John? You and I, we haven't gotten to see it much. Like, against the TB, once you hit the mid to late game, do you still believe the Gyro is the way to go here for Na'Vi?
It's
mid lane,
it's a bit
hold that
tougher.
thought, John. They're onto the puck. They've got the silence out, but no one. Not able to get the job done, is now Solo in a spot of danger, but the Starbreaker not going to land, so everyone just fine to walk out of there. Back to the question, Jonathan. What do you think about these carry matchups?
The Gyro is going to have an earlier mid-game timing. They're starting to whittle down on Funnick here, though.
They are. Funnick, he'll have another chains available, but needs a way out. He'll chain back up towards the north as Arrow is going to join in and maybe help out, but they don't have the damage any longer. Funnick, he's healed up enough. You're at that point as the Timber where you can certainly try to fight back as bot lane. Instead, they'll go onto the Dawnbreaker. They'll try onto Cowrie, but he's still alive. He'll move in as Solo. No one does take him out, but now a double Dream Core coming in from Haze. They break the coil on the Void Spirit with the silence. Gotta hold him back as no one. He'll dissimulate back up to the high ground of the triangle, but the Impale, it's gonna land. Completely blind by the Nyx Assassin, and now Sweet and Strong. He trying to help out, trying to get there in time, but he can't do anything. He'll just need to run. He's right behind him, looking to clear him up. Zaro has an Impale in one. Will throw it out, but he does get the tether away just in the nick of time. In fact, Arrow barely getting out with his own life intact. Look at this mid-tier 1 tower, John. TA2000, he groups up with the team. He gets the damage out. They might not secure it here, but they are certainly doing a hell of a lot of damage.
Forcing the rotation out from Vincere just to work that lane, freeing up a little bit more space in the side lanes, maybe start to get some EXP up on their supports. And the aggression's kicking in for Rune Eaters. Na'Vi not quite at the point where they've got the level 6 threats. You're not close to it for Solo yet to play with that Mystic Flare. They're doing a good job of trying to punish Rune Eaters, finding a couple of kills here and there onto Cowrie, but it's not quite what you'd want to see. For right now, for Na'Vi, the important thing is still secure that jungle, still get that build up on Vincere. They haven't been able to stack up as much. There were a couple of camps that Funnick did kind of clear out himself a while ago, so you're going to have to rebuild that net worth for Vincere in the jungle, but he is still having a good game. You're finding the punishment onto a couple of years, great kill onto no one. The Void Spirit's still looking to be aggressive there, and I think at the end of the day, as long as not the Gyrocopter being jumped, you're pretty happy here for Na'Vi, as, again, the mid-game timing for the Gyro is going to feel a little bit stronger right until perhaps that Terrorblade BKB timing. Past that point, the Gyro can feel a bit flat.
Rotation down bot. They're going to find Carry at the least. No one will be able to pick that one up, so a nice little rotation there from the Void Spirit. Keep in mind, it is only a POS 5 Dawnbreaker, but Na'Vi, they'll be happy with that, as they are going to go for another smoke up now. Solo and no one will go together as a duo, because you just want to land that Ancient Seal onto the puck to be able to try and secure this kill onto Haze. Arrow is going to be nearby though on the Nyx Assassin, so it's not going to be too easy to secure that puck kill, and well, they run the other way anyway. They'll just get some deep wards down in the Radiant jungle instead. Scan is out anyway, actually catching them with this smoke. So Arrow sticking around, may get punished for this as the Ancient Seal does come in, and in fact he does. Still getting taken down here, Arrow. Again, they had the scan to know they were incoming, but he just doesn't back out.
I think that's fine. You break the smoke, you force them to make a play onto you, which leaves the farm for the rest of the chorus. Funnick gets full control up top, gets a free tower for himself. You're not being contested here for TA2000. He was in that bottom area of that jungle, and gets away scotch-free, not being spotted out, and still works that bot lane while the stacks are being cleared out by Haze. So you still get a lot economically out of that death here for Rune Eaters. It's still a nice pick-off for Na'Vi, considering that they were slightly behind. But you're not fully upset if you're Rune Eaters. You're still getting something from that exchange. You've got the full Witchblade out now, out on Haze, and they're going to go for a smoke play themselves.
They'll give it a crack. Where do they head, though? Into their own jungle they go here, Rune Eaters. Everyone else from Na'Vi, though, backing off at the right time, so it doesn't feel like anyone's really going to get caught out here. I mean, Lace is still hanging around that launch camp, so maybe you could try for the DK. They'll see him very, very soon, but Lace backing off at the right moment. Rune Eaters I mean, they still have a chance. Lace is still stuck around this bot lane, trying to go into that tree line. Did they see him? The orb is going to clip him as well, as they do get the Spike Carapace. And with that, they'll lock him down with the Dream Coil, and they'll have the DK in their hands, it seems, as Lace. He can't survive that. A nice rotation in the end for Rune Eaters as Na'Vi. They don't even react to it.
They just sacrifice, they try to get more farm up on their gyro, secure that triangle. Vichun does get scouted, level 6 up on Arrow. They could play with a combination of Solar Guardian with Nick scouting around here.
If they know, they may have seen Arrow was around because of the sound cue on the tether. Arrow, he's going to find Solo this time around, and that'll be the Skywrath to drop very quickly by Rune Eaters. Another nice pickup here from the Radiant end, and Na'Vi, well, again, just not reacting. Just trusting that Vichun will outfarm them on the gyrocopter and allow Vichun that time to get to where he needs to be.
And he's number 1 in net worth, 6.7k, a full 1k gold ahead of everyone else from Rune Eater's end. So Navi's pretty satisfied with that investment on the Char. BKB gonna be coming up soon. That'll defend him against a lot of the damage coming out here, especially from Phonic and from Haze. So you have a huge opening to play without Io, although pushing on mid. Navi are dragging the heroes in for the defense, but not as many as you'd expect.
And Rune Eaters will go for this mid-tier 1 tower. The thing is, if you're Vichun, you've gotten already so much farm out of that triangle, you may feel like you don't need the mid-tier 1 anymore. In Rune Eaters, they might feel a little bit more comfortable across the map now with that mid-tier 1 tower gone, but you look at Na'Vi, they're still hanging around that dire triangle. Vichun's still farming like an absolute champion, and nothing really to slow him down from getting this BKB up on the gyrocopter. And well, once you've got that up, maybe you wait for the Axe to come out after, but well, maybe now they have a chance to catch them. Arrow, he'll go into the Vendetta. They did spot him out. The IO, though, gonna go for a tether, but it does break the coil. So they don't find Vichun. They'll take Sweet and Strong instead. Not the greatest pickup here for Rune Eaters, but it's something.
Yeah, it's something. They've also got the Blink timing up now on Laze, so they can play with that
one.
Blink, Dragon Tail, Mystic Flare here.
He's a much bigger something, John. No one. He'll look to back his way out as now Vichun looks to join the team fight with the call down. They've already got an Haze down. Cowrie in big trouble. Meanwhile, Vichun still being chased, but not really enough damage here from Rune to take him out as the Nyx Assassin. He's going to get caught, and Arrow, he'll be left behind. Phonic, he'll go for a run, but he is also going to get stunned up and eventually taken out. Surely. Mind you, he is quite tanky here, John. He'll buy a bit of time. They are still trying to get through him, but he'll chain away. Phonic, he'll try for a TP play out now, might make it, but no. Dragon Tail is there from Lease. They'll get him. Rune Eaters losing 4 in that team fight, and Na'Vi, the first time they really try to take a team fight, and it works out perfectly for them.
That's just super awkward from Rune Eaters. They did not expect that Blink timing out from Laze. Gets the angle, plays for that Mystic Flare combination we just talked about before it broke out. And Na'Vi now starting to show us that aggression that can come true. And the question was asked by the panel whether or not the Dragon's Tail stun is enough. It looks like for now it is, as Rune Eaters just don't have anything defensive up yet to save them.
Lace, he's in again. That'll be the Dawnbreaker to drop. Haze, he'll try to fight back here on the puck because they do actually stun up the DK. Lace, he's so tanky though, they'll be forced to commit the coil here, and now Vichun, he's going to come in and try to help out. A stun is there, but Lace is not going to die. Slowly ticking out, he will finally die to the Witch's Blade, but now the puck in big trouble. They'll stun him up at Phonic. He doesn't come onto the Timber Sword, chasing down Solo. Trying for something here for Rune Eaters, and they might just find a secondary kill. The Solo will eventually drop, and well, this time around, Na'Vi, they do end up getting a little bit too confident and going a little bit too far.
But you're starting to see how scary it is for Rune Eaters to come into that silence, to come into that Dragon Tail. And the damage output of the Sky is still pretty high. You don't have any early BKBs on Rune Eaters, and until that point, the Puck, the Terror Relay are going to be very susceptible to that combination. Even the Timber Saw, if he's caught off guard, the Hood of Defiance at some point is just not going to be enough to sustain him. Going for the full pipe though will help the cause. Added magic resistance and AoE shield to help keep your team alive is going to be useful. Na'Vi, despite all this time, you have to consider that yes, Vichun's top, but it's only Vichun. The rest of Rune Eaters are starting to claw away a lead. Na'Vi will go for a smoke play though again with that duo, Dragon Tail stun, Mystic Flare. You know, if they just catch someone out, they're probably dead here.
Oh, absolutely. Na'Vi will try. D-wards are out. They've kind of broken their own smoke here, getting those D-wards off, and well, they'll still try to force the fight mid lane. Relocate is there onto Arrow, but it's only a Nyx assassin. And in the end, they don't find him anyway. Na'Vi, they'll try for the mid-tier 1 tower now, but Funnick, he's going to show up. On the Timbersaw, he doesn't mind defending this tower on his own. The Aether Remnant will lock him down, but the Relocate is there. They aren't even going to find the mid-tier 1 out of this. It's a decent attempt, but just for a Nyx assassin, it seemed a little bit desperate.
Yeah, it was a bit desperate. They broke the smoke trying to get the D wards off, so that gave enough time for Rune Eaters to prep for that sort of movement. And that's time where the Jar's not quite farmed. They might find Cowrie.
They may. Arrow, he's around to try and help out as no one. Does get stunned up, but still fine with the Dissimulate to try and chase down Carry and does find him. But now, can he keep fighting back? They'll go on to Arrow on the Nyx Assassin. Arrow continues to try and fight back as now Funnick has been caught out on the Timber. He'll try to TP away, but he's not going to make it this time. He's gone. Na'Vi. A risky engagement, but it does work out in their favor. It's now Rune Eaters really drop the ball as no one. Gonna find the puck. And that'll be a third pickup here for the Dire team.
This time they'll be able to find that mid-tier 1 off the back of that aggression. Rune Eaters dipping a bit too far. Again, they don't have anything defensive on any of their cores. A good jump in from Navi can just find these openings. Rune Eaters are getting space out for a TA2000. Does have the full Manta up going to the Scotty next. Nothing like a BKB coming out anytime soon. So he can at least purge off the silence from the sky, but a good jump in from the DK can still handle him, although.
Quick reaction to the Spy Carapace here, John, but the Dragon Tail does land anyway. Lace able to set up a nice kill for himself there on the Dragon Knight. Na'Vi, 4K net worth lead now, John. They are certainly feeling like they're in the driver's seat once again. Mind you, it is going to be all about Roshan. They don't have the fastest Roshan lineup, but it seems like they're ready to fight. Once again, they'll chase down the puck. Hayes gonna pop the Dream Core, but it connects on nothing. They caught him with the stun out. They're gonna blow him up. In fact, they've even got the Timber. Funnick stacking up with the puck and just going down so darn quick.
Yeah, he managed to pop the pipe. It's just not enough. He had a fireball. He had a lot of output from Mystic Flare too. He was spreading that damage at this point. Just isn't enough. And that opens up the rush for Na'Vi. You just said it, Mike. It's all about Roshan here. Navi's got a smooth ride into it, and the Rune Eaters don't really have some fight in there. And it feels like Rune Eaters just haven't been playing as aggressive. They've not been able to go for any Solar Guardian plays with Nyx and the Dream Coil. It feels like that's what they were going for in this draft. Just not able to find that opportunity. Now you have to deal with 2 lives on Vichun. He's got his own BKB. He's very well protected against Rune Eater's own aggression. So that moment of weakness for the Gyrocopter kind of disappears, and your Terrorblade isn't quite farmed enough to kind of deal with that yet.
Well, now Lace is going to find Cowrie. They'll relocate immediately, trying to force the fight. As Cowrie not going to make it to the high ground. They even find Arrow on the Nyx, trying to come in and help out, but he gets taken down underneath the Sentry Ward. Another nice couple kills here for Na'Vi. The net worth lead only continues to extend for this Dire team as Rune Eaters now backs against the wall. Feels like they are kind of just jumping onto the back of TA2000 and hoping for the best with this POS1 TB.
Yeah, they just need to stall out for the farm. Get that full Scotty up, get the full BKB afterwards. And that's when the Terrorblade can maybe stand toe-to-toe with the Gyrocopter. They have to kind of handle Sweet and Strong in the back, though. When it comes to the sustain game, that eye will just provide way too much unless Hayes gets to jump in. He is about to have his blink. That's been stalled out for a very long time here on the puck. And that should allow them to get some more angles, not just fully rely on the Nyx to kind of flank around with all the sentries that Navi's invested in. For Navi, though, straightforward push. Age is still up for a lot of time. Vichun's BKB has never been used. Like, he's had it for a little bit, but just hasn't had the opportunity, hasn't needed to really use it.
That is kind of insane, John. All these team fights Vichun's been a part of and just never needed the Magic community. Goes to show you how great Navi's been playing this game number 2 is. In they go. Tier 3 tower now, going to be targeted by Navi. Very, very confident with the Aegis up on Vichun, and like you said, John, a 9-second BKB charge still available here for the Gyrocopter. It's just not going to be an easy team fight for Rune just to try and take. Keep in mind, every team fight that does go by, they are fighting without their Terrorblade. But even now on the high ground, like, do you really want to drag TA2000 here before he gets his Eye of Skadi timing? Well, they're going to have to. They don't really have much of a choice in the matter. TA2000, he'll move in. Navi, Dream Coil is there onto a few targets. They do have the Solar Guardian as well. They're going to try and force the fight right here, right now. Solo almost dropping. TA2000, he'll go on to Vichun, but where's the damage? They've only found the IO. they'll lose Funnick, and they'll lose Hayes. At the very least, they do defend the bottom tier of racks, but it was a pretty rough fight for Navi, or rather for Rune Eaters, and they don't find really anyone of value from Navi.
Yeah, I mean, at least killing off the IO forces them away. They know they can't play without the sustain with the full Scotty. Well, not quite the full Scotty being up into 2000, but the damage output from him is still pretty high when Metamorphosis is up. So they respect that. They play it safe. They know what happened in game 1 when they got a bit over-eager. Not going to try to make that same mistake. For Rune Eaters, though, this is just stalling out progress. They use Metamorphosis. It's not going to be up for another minute and a half. That's another window for Navi to come in, respawn on the IO's short. They could just go again here, knowing that the damage isn't there in TA 2000.
Carry. Don't breathe right now, sir. Be very, very quiet down at that bot lane. Navi, they might have to fight underneath the observer ward here of the Radiant John. It's a very nice ward placement by Rune Eaters to try and prep for the next high ground or defenses. Cowrie, he's actually been caught out. They spot him taking the creep wave. They'll cancel the TP off, and eventually Cowrie's going to drop. He does delay the high ground attempt a little bit, but it is going to cost him his own life.
Yeah, and that's still an opening for Navi. It's going to take a little bit longer for that creep wave to catch up. But again, they still have Aegis for about a full minute. Metamorphosis is still down for a minute as well, though.
They're going to try into Lace here, John. Keep in mind, Lace is kind of alone, but he's still a very tanky boy. Cooldown's going to come through, but Lace, he does drop Hayes. He was silenced up, but looks to be able to outrun them, though no one. He'll get the Aether Remnant to lock down the puck a little bit longer. It's not a bad trade whatsoever for Navi.
They get the kill they need. That should enable the high ground. There's no threat of Dream Coil, no threat of any creep cutting or plays on the back line. And again, with the Aegis running for so long, there's no threat on Vincere. Only about 40 seconds of that. That's 40 seconds enough to clear out at least one set of racks here.
Oh, absolutely. They can't go for the mid and the top racks, though. There are still tier 2 towers standing here for the side of Rune Eaters, so they kind of accept the fact that they do not want to force this fight any longer. They don't want to force the buyback from Hayes either. They'll just kind of leave the bot racks to go down. Mind you as well, you had TA 2000 just pick up his Eye of Skadi, so he wouldn't have buyback gold either. So just leave it at that. Hope for a good team fight next time around, but Navi is again in the driver's seat. 9k net worth advantage. It's... From this standpoint, Navi, they're just in such a great position. You just keep that farm going in this gyrocopter and eventually you will be able to go high ground once again. There's not really much stopping you.
And I like the build-up from Vincere. Just Mjolnir with a BKB, Ags into Satanic. So he knows he's just got to play the sustain game. Satanic active just kind of overwhelms the Scotty minus. And you have the IO behind you anyway. You're just going to be super durable in the front line. The burst damage from Rune Eaters just isn't there. You don't have the biggest right click yet on TA 2000. He does unqueue the BKB. Maybe feeling secure enough with a Manta going for the Butterfly instead. Does feel like Navi's going to be able to punish that quite well. Like their magic damage is still good. Once you clear out some of the illusions and isolate the actual Terrorblade, you can easily stun him up and prevent him from just using Sunder without anything else defensive here. And in fact, the 80,000 changes his mind, going for the Satanic instead. So having his own Dispel, having his own Sustain to keep up in these longer fights can be nice. It's all about timing on that use. Navi, yeah, they're feeling good again, Mike. 8k lead. Not quite reminiscent of game 1 because that was just a strong all-out start from Navi. This time they're the ones to claw it back their way. And just looking at that trust they have in Vincere. He has managed to get a lot. Arrows scouting, but don't know if they can really commit.
Well, they've actually found everyone though here, John. Scan up the whole side of Navi, and very important information for TA 2000 because now he knows exactly where he can farm on the TB. My Navi seem to be waiting for the next Roshan to come up, so they'll just kind of secure that position on the northern side of the map. Make sure that outpost does not even considered to be taken here by Rune Eaters. So important when you're trying to fight the next Roshan. Navi, top tier 1 tower to drop very soon. It will be forced out, but that's only going to delay things slightly. Let's look at Vincere. He's just so massive on this gyrocopter. To that point where it gets very hard to even try and contest this map. And like you mentioned, TA 2000 is working towards his own Satanic. In fact, he does switch over to the BKB anyway. Just not truly making up his mind as to what he really wants here, but eventually he will have to make a decision. He does keep buyback gold for himself, though, when he does make that decision. So He probably will need it for this high ground defense, but I suppose it is kind of tough buying back as a TB, John, if you use that meta early on. Never fun.
Yeah, not going to have many options, not going to have a way to really contribute in the middle of those fights. I love what Navi's done, though, Mike. They've got BKB up on Lace, they've got BKB up on no one. They're fully ready. And that's... Rune Eaters has the same problems as Navi. Up against these BKBs, they're not going to have control. At the least, I guess Rune Eaters will always have Dream Foil up at level 25, but we're not at that point here for Haze to kind of even consider that. So Navi's just going to be really secure in these next few engagements. Like, how do you deal damage onto that DK when you're under so much pressure, when you don't have your own BKBs? TA2000 can't just stand there. Funnick can't just zip around with his Chakram with that spell immunity up. Roshan is a longer respawn though, Mike. 2.5 minutes. So there's some time for both sides to kind of just secure their positions. Rune Eaters have to be aware of that rush. They need to somehow get some vision out. They don't really have the information around that pit, and that might cost them. Full BKB up now, though, on TA2000, so some protections there. We'll see if that's going to be enough for them to maybe look for something as they smoke up.
But they do. They are going to commit the smoke here. They want to try and get that surprise reveal on TA2000 with the BKB. They'll wrap around the long way. Roshan also going to be scouted out by the illusion of TA2000, but he won't find anything. Roshan, a very long timer here for either side. It's a very long wraparound as well from the side of Rune Eaters. Smoke actually almost about to wear off. Na'Vi, they will have a high ground advantage going into this fight if they do stay around, and they do. Lace, he's going to jump in. Call down is there. They've already blown up Cowrie. TA2000, who are we aiming? He'll go after Solo on the Skywrath Major. Does find one, but the buyback is immediate from Solo. And without the BKB left, TA2000 will need to back off immediately as no one. He's going to jump in. Stun is there. They've locked down the Terrorblade with the Dream Coil. And now the Sunder going to be thrown out. A double impale out onto V-Tune. He's in big trouble on the Gyrocopters. They've got him down.
What?
Oh, Navi. Oh, they're getting picked off left, right, and center here, John. Silence out again onto TA2000, but the relocate. Well, he might have had a chance to stick around there and go for the kill onto the TB. Nevertheless, a successful team fight for Rune Eaters. And Sweden Strong, well, he's not out of danger yet either. He's going to have to come back and go to the graveyard. That's not a team fight you'd expect to see, John, but Rune Eaters, they make it work.
Yeah, that's just super awkward positioning out from Navi. They had good game sense to figure something was up. They get a good position on the high ground. They even get a good jump in from Lace, but they weren't able to follow through. The great BKB use out, great reveal out from our TB. And
aggressive jump in, but the Dream Coil. Oh, it's just barely off the mark there for Haze. That was such a big kill to be had. They are still chasing down Cowrie. Spy Carapace is there. Lace even shows up now. They're all going in for a pos 5 Dawnbreaker. And what's it going to cost them? At least Solo. It's Lace. He'll go for a run, but the chase is on. He's forced to BKB and run. Even V-Tune being in now to try and maybe salvage the situation. No one. He'll make the jump in onto Arrow, onto the Nyx Assassin, but there's just Spy Carapace out. No one. Not able to keep chasing. There's now Rune Eaters. They'll find a double damage rune. That'll be enough for them. They just want to back out and reset. Wait for the next Metamorphosis on TA2000 and come back for another fight. But Roshan is up now, Jonathan. Na'Vi, they've got to be very cautious. Against a double damage TB, it could be rough.
And this is where, again, we talked about that mid-game time for Gyro. Now it's kind of being eclipsed by the Terrorblade. Equal net worth on both of these pause once here, Mike. But TA2000 does start to feel like the bigger threat when he does turn on Metamorphosis, especially if he can cut off that IO. Without Sweden Strong to provide the buffs onto V-Tune, it doesn't feel like he can sustain up front, even with the Satanic. Still easily torn apart. And they really have to be able to choose their targets now in Navi. This is where some of that single control comes into play. If you do commit into someone with Dragon Tail Sun, you have to ensure you can kill them off. If not, the BKBs are there to save. As we've seen on TA2000, he just has the Sunder without the chain stuns coming through, and it just falls apart for Navi.
Here we go again. They're feeling confident now here. Rune Eater's going to start moving in. Navi, they still hold a very slight net worth advantage, but that is all on V-Tune. If you catch this Gyrocopter, Navi's got nothing. So they smoke up. They found TA2000. It's a great pick off for the Solar Guardian. Gonna protect for now. They are trying to blow him up. No one keeps going. TA2000, he'll get a Sunder off, but it's only on Cowrie. He was already so low. TA2000 keeps running, but he's down. Oh, they couldn't save him. He just didn't have a great stun to target. Rune Eaters. It was the team fight that was meant to be, but it just doesn't work.
Oh, and that's terrible timing as well. Roshan's back up. Navi's going to be able to get a nice big objective for themselves, set up for another high ground push from the tier 2s. And it just falls flat. Rune Eaters come in. They instantly go onto the Terrorblade. As we said, if they manage to jump on Navi's end and manage to lock in one hero, give everything they have onto that one hero, they can still get short work done. BKB flew on a little bit too late. They had BKBs to protect from the Sunders, and TA2000, even with the DD, was just a non-factor. He was just way too low to sustain up. Navi, and with the Aegis, going to line up for the tier 2 onto the high ground here, Mike. Fortunately, there is enough time for Terrorblade to respawn. He did not metamorphosis in the last engagement, so he will still have that for the fight. The Rune Eaters have to find a perfect angle once more, though. That was already a bit of a challenging fight to find around that secret shop area. Now they're going to have to try to pull it off on their high ground.
Yeah, now you've got a butterfly coming out on V-Tune as well, so even harder to kill this gyrocopter now. Na'Vi confidently starting to move up to that high ground. Keep in mind, Metamorphosis was not used that last team fight, so you also have that up. Na'Vi, we'll see how long they want to stick around for this. You've got the double life on V-Tune with the IO right behind him, so it's just so hard to try and burst him down. V-Tune, he'll keep going. A wraparound from TA2000 as Hayes will go for a dream call out. The teamfight does get started as TA2000 right onto the IO. Takes down Sweet and Strong immediately. Kaori, he'll drop to follow. No one will bounce out of there. Arrow's gone as well. This is not the teamfight Rune Eaters wanted. They are falling apart. Hayes, he will drop to follow. In they go again. No one. Is it done yet? Not quite. Homing missile onto TA2000. They'll get the Sunder off, Mantra away, but the Mystic Flare just gonna burst him down. Na'Vi coming back with a vengeance in game number 2. Rune Eaters, they'll call it. A very clean game here for Na'Vi.
And you say clean, there were a couple of opportunities for Rune Eaters. That fight around the secret shop was probably one of the tipping points for Rune Eaters to get some confidence back. Not quite enough. Falls apart in the next fight. Na'Vi, despite that lack of stunts, it does feel like Lace was enough. They had maybe a little bit more of a rough time in the laning phase. We were seeing some early kills come out from Rune Eaters, punishing that Sky lane quite nicely, but in the end, they just needed to jump onto that one big target. TA2000 out of position, gets caught off. Dragon Tail Mystic Flare is still pretty strong. Isn't able to turn on his BKB in time with a chain stun, or at least a chain control, and they managed to burst him down in that window. Na'Vi, they kick up that aggression. They have confidence in the Gyro IO, and they just hold out, allow V-Tune to farm, and just kind of carry the game.
Yeah, I mean, some combos just never stop working, Jonathan. The Gyro IO just still working here in 2022. Still with that, we are going to head off to a very short break. Of course, John, we are going to have Game 3's draft coming up rather soon, and we'll be back with our lovely panel to discuss that Game 3 draft. We'll see you then.